Okay, guys. So we've had a lot of issues about trying to figure out what kind of mask would work best for us out here on the truck. Um, the CDC guidance says a simple cloth mask or face covering would work. Um, but being out here on the truck, not everybody can sew, and it's not always feasible. Now, this is a cloth mask that I made, and it has a filter inside that looks like this. And this is the 3M Filter Advanced Allergen 1500 filtration level. So the most important thing about when you're getting a household filter is the last three yellow dots for sneeze and cough debris, bacteria, and virus should be colored in. If those are not colored in, don't even mess with it. 1500 filtration level is the minimum. These filters can go up to 2800, but I don't know anybody that's getting 2800. I think most of those now are going to the hospitals to be used. So the thing about these cloth masks, yeah, you could take out the filter and do all this. You got to wash these. And it's not like we are able to do laundry every day like, most people at home. And I would be sewing, trying to get enough cloth coverings to do it. So last night, I started doing some research, and I was seeing videos for people making paper masks, disposable paper masks. And I came across one where the guy was an auto mechanic who used a shop towel to make a face mask. And I went, let's see what I can find at the truck stop. So Richard was very, very nice and very patient with me this morning while we were waiting for our shower. I was wandering around the truck stop looking for stuff. So this is kind of my DYI mask that I found stuff at the truck stop to make, and it's a no sew. That's even better. So in this case, I'm going to show you two different masks, or two different ways of attaching. Now, the list is pretty simple. It's one of these filters you can get at Walmart, and it's a big filter. It's like 16 inches by whatever, all taken apart, and it is cut to this size, or just about this size. This is a Dollar Tree mask that I had from when I worked at Securitas, because I worked at the upper gate. A lot of colds and flu and stuff come in, so I always had this and a big bottle of hand sanitizer in my go bag. So this was kind of the inspiration. So I cut the filter to just about the same size as my disposable mask. Okay. Also, what you can find at the truck stop, electrical tape. You can find aluminum foil, and what I did was, this is the grill aluminum foil, the big long foil, and what I did was tore off a section that was about this big, and I rolled it up and folded it more and more until I got basically a wire, and I broke it in half. I literally divided it in half and then broke it. So one is going to be for the nose, one is going to be for the chin. The thing about these masks, it really should be closer to your face. And that helps, keep, the contaminants in. These masks are not going to protect you from corona. It will help. It's better than nothing. But the whole idea of wearing a face covering is to protect everybody else from you. And that's the whole deal. So I was trying to find things that I could easily find at a truck stop. The other thing I could find at the truck stop was Velcro, Scotch tape. So this is all stuff that you can find at a truck stop, except for the filter, and of course the shop towels. Now, for my attachments, this is bias tape, and we use it in sewing to bind things. So I have bias tape, and in this case, I have cut it to 8.5 inches. Richard has a larger face, so his ears are spread far apart. Normally 7 inches would work, but we found 8 inches is what was needed for him. If you're making this in the truck, a cotton t-shirt cut into strips. Okay, so how I start is a shop towel has kind of a raised side and then a smoother side. I take the raised side and I put it in, and then I fold it in half like so, and I just kind of crease it a little bit to give me that bottom crease. Okay, doesn't have to be perfect, but it needs to be pretty centered. Then I take my filter and I put that in the center, and I take one strip and I'm kind of centering it here at the top, and a second strip here at the bottom. Okay, so it's kind of almost making like an I-beam. Now to hold it in place, I take a small piece of Scotch tape or a transparency tape. If you have double-sided sticky tape, that's awesome. It's whatever you got in the truck. And of course, this is being difficult. And all I do is I tape down the corners. Okay? Just to hold it in place. And it needs to be centered up as best you can. You know, the best thing about this is that you can wear it a time or two and you can throw it away. That's the whole thing. Since we can't get to a laundromat every time we turn around, we needed something that was disposable. Because if you're in the fuel island, you might get diesel on it and you want to throw it away. Who knows what you'll come in contact with. Then you fold it back up, okay, and meet the top. Then you're going to take the top, and so you kind of have your nose piece right there, and you're making a sandwich, and you're going to turn it down and get it as close to the edge as possible, kind of like you're making an envelope. Okay, now I found that bull clips work awesome for this part. Just clip it in place, kind of adjust it, do what you got to do, get it evened up. Like over here, I got to even this up, get it turned down. And I'll go back and readjust this side. So this is going to be the back of your mask. In comes your electrical tape. Electrical tape is a lot less expensive than duct tape. If you can get masking tape, oh, that's even better because it's cheaper. So figure out the piece of electrical tape that you're going to need. Keep it as straight as you can, and then you're going to go right along the side and seal it down just like an envelope. I would not suggest using Gorilla Tape or any kind of glues because of the fuming. And let's face it, Gorilla Tape does have a smell. It's awesome stuff, but it has a smell. Then I take the clips off and I just make sure that that part is sealed down. Now the sides. So you're gonna turn it over, make 2 folds, okay? And this is from the back. Now you need to put a pleat in it. So now it is sealed. To put a pleat, all you're gonna do is pinch and turn over. You can either pinch and go to the bottom, or you'd pinch and go to the top. Then I take my bull clip and put it in place, turn it, and I do the other side. Turn it down. Now I went up, so I'm going to go up with this one, and you're just making a little tiny S, and then you're going to clip it right there. Okay, now this is where I make sure you can feel the bottom piece of foil in there, and I just make sure it's pulled down a little bit, and then I turn it over and see how it looks uniformly from the front. This is a big tray that I use in the truck. I put my George Foreman on. I use it for writing. It's a big baking pan that I got at a warehouse one time. So to seal up the sides, I kind of eyeball it, but I am guessing that it's about 9 inches. You're going to cut a piece of tape, and after I make sure the front looks right, I turn it back over, and I start at the top with a little bit of an overhang, and I get as close to the edge of my bull clip as possible. Then I take it off, and I go right along the edge, and I turn right back up to where it meets the top. Now I have just sealed up that side. Then I'll repeat it on this side. While I'm fighting with this tape, the biggest thing that you've got to do, for many years I worked with people with disabilities. Hand washing is your best friend. Every chance you get, you need to be washing your hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds, at least that long. You'd be surprised how dirty your hands get, even inside your own truck. We carry sanitation wipes and all this other stuff, and Lysol wipes, and we have antibacterial this, that, the other, because we also haul beef, so we have to make sure everything is clean inside the trailer, and sometimes we have to carry eggs and all this. So cleanliness is very important. Okay, so now I have sealed up the other side, and as you can start seeing, it's a mask. I go right here in the center, and I meet the two edges. Okay, now that's where your nose will more likely be, and I just kind of put a little crease, and then I go on either side of that crease, and I give it a little bend, and that kind of gives you an idea where your nose needs to be. Down here at the bottom, this is your chin part, and that's the part that you're going to kind of mash against your face. You can carry gloves, but really and truly, folks, you put on gloves, you go inside, you get your stuff, you're touching everything with your gloves. Now you've just touched your cup, your phone, and you have cross-contaminated everything. So hand washing is your best friend. So here with this bias tape, I'm going to show you what my original thought was. I had some bias tape that I had already sewn, and I ended up not using the mask because the mask was too small, a cloth mask. So I put Velcro on it to seal it up, and then I could pull these off when we went to throw this away, and I could reuse this ear loop. Okay, well, unless I start doing a lot more sewing, and it's not always fun going down the road, I figured out that I could do the same thing with Richard's, is use these little tabs just like I did on that, but there would be an extra step. So I mash them together, and I cut, and then I cut again. So now I have a top and a bottom, and a top and a bottom. Okay, now I always make sure the fuzzy part is on the bias tape, or on your t-shirt, or if you can get a elastic, hey, you know, tape down your elastic. You do not want to puncture these masks because that allows for extra bacteria. I use a pair of tweezers, and that helps a lot to pull these little tabs, especially if you get the heavy duty stuff, you know, that has the plastic on the back. And then I set it down. You do that side too. So then you take your sticky fuzzy side and you put it on your ear loop on both sides, and I try to keep it on the same sides. I wanted these loops where I could reuse them because, like the little surgical mask I showed you, elastics, rubber bands, even scrunchies, any of that stuff that has that stuff is so hard to find right now. So you want something that you can reuse, repurpose. So I just mash it down. Now I have a loop. Then in this case, because I don't like the bias tape flopping open, I take another piece of electrical tape and it'll be a lot easier to pull this off, trust me. I've already kind of tested it, and if you put just the electric tape over this, your ear loop won't stay as nicely and it doesn't come apart as well. But this kind of keeps that bias tape sealed, and it gives you a little bit extra strength right there. So you'll do that to this other side, and then you'll end up like with a mask like this. And I always have the electric tape as the part that's up, and when you put it on your face, these go behind your ears, and then you're going to use your hand and mash this to your face and kind of conform it. These can be used and thrown away where you're not having to wash as much, especially where we don't always have access to clean facilities. We don't always have access to bathrooms. We don't always have access to running water. So this was a good alternative, and we get some kind of protection with the filtration inside. Thanks a lot, and we'll talk to you later.